What's up, guys? The first week of Saints training camp has come to a close, so today we're going to recap some of the stuff that you should be taking note of as the first week has come to an end. There have been no pads this week. It's been very basic. The most stuff we've seen is 7-on-7 drills, but there's been some stuff that we need to discuss, like such as Michael Thomas returning, how Jameis Winston has been looking, and how the defense has been looking, who's playing or who's participating, who's not, all that good stuff. So we're going to go ahead and get into that. Preseason is only 2 weeks away as of the day I'm recording this. It's Saturday, July 30th. I plan on getting this out tomorrow, which will be Sunday. So that means preseason is less than 2 weeks away. So that's exciting news. It'll be right before we know it. And once preseason starts, then basically we're back to football at that point. So that'll be fun to see. But enough wasting time. Let's go ahead and get to the video. Now, I lied. Before we get into the video, I want to mention that what I'm going to talk about is we're going to start off with like some news. Like I said, Michael Thomas. We're going to talk about him for a little bit and Jameis. But also, I actually went to training camp today on Saturday. So I'm going to tell you guys the stuff that I saw. The media will probably already said all the stuff that I'm going to tell you. But I'm going to tell you guys the stuff that I thought was the most noteworthy because I saw it in action. And I think that's worth something. And for those who saw my minicamp video, no, I didn't get any autographs this time because there were way too many people. And we got there late, so I didn't really stand a chance anyway because my seats were not the best. But that's okay. On with the video. First of all, Michael Thomas returned. As we know, the very first day that the Saints actually participated in some form of practice. Like the first day they hit the practice field, Michael Thomas was back. And he didn't do a whole lot, but the most important part is that he's back. And he's been participating with the team. I don't think he's been participating in 7-on-7 drills. I think the most he's been doing is just kind of individual routes, individual work with the quarterbacks and all that stuff. So that's still good to see. Everyone's been reporting that his ankle looks good. There's no signs of a limp. And if you guys watched his press conference on his first day back with the team, I believe Wednesday that was, he seemed pretty excited and he was really happy to be back with the team. As you guys can imagine, bro's been rehabbing for damn near 2 years. So it's really great to see him back. Now, today on Saturday, he had a scheduled day off, which don't freak out about that. He had just a scheduled day off that the team had already planned ahead. And you guys got to realize he's not all the way back in it yet. He's not already participating in the full 7-on-7 drills just yet. He's still in a ramp-up process, but it wasn't even expected for him to hit the practice field this early because, as you guys know, the Saints put him on the PUP list. But as early as Wednesday, he was off the list and he's ready to go. Now, on Monday, because Sunday the Saints have off, Monday, we're going to be doing full pads, and everyone expects Michael Thomas to be back. So maybe we'll see Michael Thomas actually get some work in full team drills with pads. Now, do I expect that? No. I would expect maybe to see him get a little more work in, maybe some 7-on-7s with pads on. That'd be great to see, but I wouldn't expect full participation just yet. I would expect maybe a couple more weeks before that takes place, but he's getting to the right spots. That's great to see. The next player I want to discuss is Jameis Winston, obviously the quarterback. That's very important. This is his first full offseason. As you know, we know that he's the quarterback. Because remember, last offseason, there was a quarterback battle between Jameis and Taysom, which I think was stupid. Should have never been a battle anyway, but that's what took place. And we didn't know Jameis was going to be the QB1 for the season until after the second preseason game. So we went well into preseason before we knew we knew who our starting quarterback was going to be. Now, as we know, Taysom's not going to be a quarterback anymore. He's moving to tight end, but he's still going to be playing that kind of jack-of-all-trades role. But we're not talking about Taysom. That's my bad. We're talking about Jameis. Now, what have I seen from Jameis? I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys that. Obviously, he doesn't have his knee brace on anymore. I'm not sure if I mentioned that in my Michael Thomas video a few days ago, but he doesn't have the brace on anymore. I think he's almost full go. He's been, from what I saw today in practice, he was doing rollouts, he was doing play action, and his throws look good, and he looks like the same player pretty much as we saw in 2021. So that's great to see. Jameis is getting back in rhythm. Now, I can't really, like I said, I wasn't there for the first 3 days of practice, which was Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And right now, the Saturday practice is fresh in my mind, so I don't exactly remember how good he did days 1 through 3. I'm sure it was fine. But I'm going to tell you guys what I saw today. The very beginning of practice, they started off with 7-on-7 drills, and they started with like 4 or 5 passes with the first team. And the first 2 passes Jameis threw were interceptions. Now, people are going to freak out about this and say, Jameis is washed, whatever. It's training camp, though. It's practice. You got to realize. And also, another thing to note is that Jameis is practicing against one of the best defenses in the league every single day. So that's going to make him nothing but better. But anyway, the first pass he threw was, I believe it was a crossing route to Deontay Hardy. C.J. Gardner-Johnson jumped the route. It was a great pick. And the second one, it was a hitch route to somebody, like one of those 10-yard curls or something like that in the middle of the field. I don't really remember who he was throwing to, but Bradley Roby was covering, and the ball, I'm not sure there was a miscommunication or what, but the ball pretty much went right to Bradley Roby. And both of these picks would have been in return for touchdowns because there was nobody there to keep him from going into the end zone. So that happened, but he did bounce back in a big way, Jameis did. He had some great throws to Chris Olave. He had some great throws to Adam Troutman, who's actually had a great camp so far, which is something to note because lots of Saints fans, including myself, had really high expectations for Troutman last year, and he was ass, to say the least. But I think this year we might be having too low expectations for him because, I mean, he's going into his third year, and the third year is really the make it or break it year, I think, for most young players. So we'll see what happens there in terms of a possible third-year breakout. But the big highlight for Jameis today was a 60-yard bomb to Chris Olave, in which he was wide open. But like I said, when the defense, I don't know why I said like I said because I didn't say it already. But if the defense makes some mistakes, the offense has to be able to capitalize, and Jameis absolutely did. Marshawn Lattimore was covering him, but it looked like he was playing some form of zone. I think it was cover 2 because he dropped back a little bit, and then once Chris Olave broke to the middle of the field, Matt Lattimore kind of stopped covering, and Olave instantly waved his arms up like he was open, which he was, for the touchdown. Now, obviously, miscommunication on defense, but, it's great to see Jameis and Olave connecting, and not even just that 60-yard bomb. Olave was definitely, to me, the standout of camp so far, at least for the one I saw. Chris Olave was all over the field. He was catching passes left and right, whether it was Andy Dalton, Jameis Winston. I don't know if he participated in any drills Ian Book was in. I'm sure there were a few. But Chris Olave was absolutely everywhere, and he's been the number one standout in camp so far, in my personal opinion. So that was great to see. And Jarvis Landry got some action, too. He had a few good catches. Alvin Kamara and Mark Ingram both looked good today, but that's not really one of the players that I want to really note because we kind of know who both those players are. Now, as we know, there's a case going on with Alvin Kamara, but he has a scheduled date, a court date for August 1st. Now, I'm not sure if we're going to learn any more about that. As we know from the past few days, he's been scheduled to continue to move further and further back. But if this one gets moved back again, I might make a video discussing the possibilities of Alvin Kamara not being suspended for the 2022 season, or at least not to start the 2022 season. We'll see what takes place there. But I'm already almost 8 minutes into the video, so before I make this video longer than I do, because I tend to do that a lot, we're going to talk about the defense now, because, the defense is really good, and we want to talk about the defense. Now, some of the players that I think have stood out the most so far on defense has really been the quarterback battle between Paulson Adebo and Alontae Taylor. As y'all know, Paulson Adebo, we drafted him in the 3rd round last year to fill in that quarterback number 2 spot, and he was really good last year. He had 3 picks. He's had some great games. He had a couple bad games. He had that really rough game against the New York Giants, which he absolutely sold. In the Falcons game, when he let Cordell Patterson win the game after we came back down 24-6, I believe, or 24-3. I think it was 24-6. We were down a lot, and we actually took the lead, and then Paulson Adebo allowed that bomb. But we're not going to talk about that because Paulson Adebo is a good player. And then the Saints drafted Alontae Taylor in the 2nd round of this previous draft to actually compete with Paulson Adebo for that number 2 cornerback spot. And it's been a good battle. Now, I do still expect Paulson Adebo to take that spot, but it's good to see some competition in that area to continue to push Paulson Adebo to be better and to give someone like Alontae Taylor a shot for some reps. Now, I'm sure he's still going to get some reps in somehow, some way, whether it's an injury or just him finding his way to the field somehow, some way. So that's going to be another position to keep an eye out for as we get closer to the preseason. Another player that's been really standing out to me, I mentioned earlier, one of the players that got an interception that I noticed was C.J. Gardner-Johnson. This is a contract year for him. We drafted him in 2019. He's been a great slot defender. He's been a really good, versatile player for us. He can play the run. He can blitz. He can even play safety if you need him to. And I think he's the best nickelback in the game. He owns Tom Brady. And he as we know, he's probably the best trash talker in the league. We all saw what he made. I was about to say Darnell Mooney, but that's not him. Javon Wims. I was thinking Bears wide receiver. He made Javon Wims literally punch him in the face with a helmet on, which I will never understand why you punch someone in the face that has a helmet on. That's gonna hurt. But C.J. Gardner-Johnson has really stood out this camp. He had that great interception. He had some great pass breakups, and this is definitely a player to note. I do think the Saints will extend him, but we'll see what happens there. I really hope the Saints extend him because, as we know, with his great trash talking, and he's a great team player for us. He's one of those players that if you're not a Saints fan, you hate his guts. So I'm glad we have him on our team, and I hope he stays that way on our team. And one more player I want to briefly mention is Peyton Turner. I didn't see much of him in this current practice that I just went to, but the past few practices, he's really come on, and there's been lots of reports saying he's been looking really good. And there was just one highlight of him having an insane bull rush on one of the offensive linemen. I'm not sure who the old lineman was, but he literally put him on his ass. And whoever the quarterback was, if he wasn't wearing a red shirt, he was gonna get hit sticked. I was gonna say something that probably shouldn't have said, so I just went with hit stick because you know what that is in Madden when you get absolutely popped. He was gonna get hit sticked, but obviously you don't do that to the quarterback in practice. Whatever. Now, you guys probably wondering, how's Tyrann Mathieu been? He's actually not been at practice. He's been excused this week. I don't know how long he's been excused, but he's been not attending practice because he has a personal family issue or emergency. Whatever the problem may be, that's okay. Let him deal with it. That's okay. He'll be back at practice. Nothing to panic about. Just let him deal with the issue. And I wish all the best for Tyrann Mathieu and his family and whatever's going on. But the expectation is that he'll be back soon. And nothing else really stands out to me that I can really think of off the top of my head in about 11 and a half minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and end the video here. If you made it this far, thank you for watching. Please subscribe if you're new. Or if you have any thoughts about the video, comment. What do you guys want to see? Some of the videos that I have coming up, I'm thinking about making a video as we live to preseason for the top 5 Saints players to watch for during preseason, which may be coming soon. I'm still thinking about doing that live stream in which I predict the entire NFL schedule on the Playoff Predictors app. So if that interests you, I'll be doing that soon. After preseason, I think that's when I'll be publishing my official Saints record predictions for this season. And obviously, as you guys know, we got preseason coming up, so we'll be having game recaps for that and highlights. The highlights ain't going away still. I'm still going to be making that. It's going to be a lot of work, but I'm going to have commentary for you guys, and I'm going to have highlights, so that's something to look forward to. And, yeah, I ain't got much else to say. Like I said, if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. And I'll see you guys in the next video.